So the question is, how can we determine our level of consciousness? What can we ask ourselves to get a sense of where we're at? As meditators, we might look for clues within our inner experiences. We might look to see how settled, how complete, how peaceful do I feel during the meditation. And that's a good starting point, because then we might look at our experiences outside of meditation and look at how conscious am I, how aware am I during the mundane experiences. And so if we're able to maintain a constant contact with reality, which happens when we're fully present, that's a pretty good sign that we are starting to wake up to something much bigger within our experience. So this constant awareness, constant contact is a very good sign. The next thing I would look at is when something happens in my life, in any aspect of life, how do I perceive it? How do I react to it? And how do I interpret it? So there's any number of events happening on a day-to-day basis. For example, a simple thing like a traffic congestion on the way to work. It's a very ordinary experience. But as we're sitting in that car and we're thinking of, oh boy, I have a meeting first thing in the morning, and it's an important meeting, I don't want to be late, when is this going to clear up? How are we starting to feel inside? Are we in touch with that? Are we taking that experience and turning it into an experience of duality? Are we turning it into a me versus them type of thing, where me is the driver of this car and them is all these other people getting in my way, obviously. So it becomes a me versus them thing. Anything can be turned into a dualistic experience. And so we want to look at that and see how much am I doing that? To what extent am I going towards creating dualistic interpretations of an everyday experience? And of course, when there's more challenging disturbances, a strong emotion, it's much more challenging to be neutral. We have a strong tendency to self-identify as a finite being who is being unfairly treated by somebody or something. And so that's, again, notice how quickly we go into this dualistic perspective. So the more we are dragged into these kinds of divisiveness within our consciousness, because the divisiveness is not outside, it just appears to be outside. We take an outside event, turn it into internal split. And the more we do that, and the more we tend to stay stuck in that, the more it indicates that we have more work to do in order to refine our consciousness. So if we find that we're generally able to sail through these experiences, we're able to take whatever current is present in the body of water, in the body of life, and we're able to take whatever direction of that current is, whatever direction the wind is blowing, and turn it into something positive. And positive in this context is take it from something that's going to contract me to a finite state versus expand me to my infinite nature. So the more we are able to go towards this expansion of infinity and more neutral awareness of all that is, the more it indicates that our level of consciousness is high. And so the more important thing is to be have a general sense of this rather than having to have a very precise answer to what is my level of consciousness on a scale of 1 to 1,000. Is it 632 today or what? It doesn't really matter. Internally, you can check to see how neutral am I, how stuck am I in this package. And the more you can look and say, oh, I don't even see a package. I feel like I'm an infinite being having some interesting experiences. The more you know your level of consciousness is quite high. And the good news is, no matter where our level of consciousness is, once we start becoming aware, once we apply ourselves, once we commit ourselves to higher and higher levels of consciousness, our consciousness takes off very quickly. The thing that keeps it down is being in a state of unawareness, ignoring consistently the feedback that reality is giving us. And that is a form of ignorance. When you keep ignoring feedback, that's ignorance. It's a different take on ignorance, but that's one way of looking at it. And so we have so much incredible states of consciousness that are waiting for us because we are wired for these higher states of consciousness. And we are unnaturally staying in lower states of consciousness, typically. And I know many of us watching, we have been applying ourselves and we've already explored very high states of consciousness. But the average person on the planet has unnaturally kept themselves trapped in a bubble. And that's the key. You want to break out of that bubble and take off like a rocket. And there's amazing vistas that await us. When you choose light, life becomes increasingly joyful, purposeful, and inspired. I invite you to join me to explore the realms of light, the infinite possibilities that light offers.